everyone. Welcome to Fighting Over the Card Catalog, a snarky look back on young adult novels of the 80s and 90s. I'm Jess.
And I'm Steven, and I'm here to make my wife happy.
We are taking a journey to find out how many terrible and some not so terrible books from my youth I can get my husband to read before he reconsiders this whole marriage. Hi.
Hi.
Okay, so this week we are doing Saddle Club number 1, Horse Crazy, written by Bonnie Bryant in 1988.
"12-year-old Carol Hansen and Stevie Lake have been best friends ever since they met at Pine Hollow Stables. So when 13-year-old Lisa Atwood shows up for her first lesson dressed in fancy riding gear and acting chummy with the snobbiest girl in town, the girls aren't sure she'll fit in. But Lisa soon shows herself to be a quick learner, and Carol and Stevie can't help but admire her natural riding talents. Soon the three girls are fast friends. Over Sundays at their favorite ice cream shop, the girls begin to make plans for the MTO, the long-awaited mountain trail overnight campout for the students of Pine Hollow. There's just one problem. Stevie's parents won't pay for it unless she improves her grades. There's no way Stevie will miss out on this wonderful trip with her friends, so she decides to start her own business with a little help from a surprising source."
That's kind of a shit blurb.
It was.
What'd you think about it?
I had a little PTSD from the Babysitters Club, so
Wow.
I was a little hesitant to read this book. But it wasn't overall bad. It was, it could be entertaining. I could see how it could be entertaining.
Let's start a rating system. I don't know. I want to do it on a soul-sucking level. So, I feel like 10 would be Babysitter's Club. Complete loss of joy of reading. But 1 would be number 1 book, happiness of all time. Where would you rate this book?
I would say 3 or 4.
3 to 4?
Yeah.
Number 1 being the best?
Yeah.
Really? Oh, okay.
What would you rate it?
Not that high. Not that high at all. I don't know. Probably a 6.
Yeah, maybe 4 or 5.
Okay.
4 or 5.
I'd say 6.
Yeah.
Now, as an adult.
Oh yeah, I'm thinking of as reading it as a kid.
Okay, yeah, I'd give it probably a 3 or 4 when I was originally reading it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but now as an adult, 6, 7. What about you for now?
Yeah, like a 5. 5.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's delightful. Okay. I'm kind of surprised, but all right. Okay, then let's get into this middle-of-the-road book. All right, we start out chapter 1 with Stevie already in trouble from the very first line. As we learned from the freaking blurb already, her parents aren't going to pay for the mountain trail overnight trip if she doesn't get her grades up. Now, she could do this by completing a math project on decimals and percentages, but she completely dismisses that. And she thinks, hey, they didn't say she couldn't go, just that they won't pay for it, so she could maybe pay for it herself. Then we meet Carol at the stables. She goes to the stables early. Her father's in the Marines, and her mother died of cancer just 6 months prior.
Fun times.
I know. The owner, Max, I've never known how to say this last name. Regnery?
I don't even remember seeing it.
Oh, Regnery. Regnery. We'll go with that. Okay. Owner, Max Regnery, hates idleness, so she's washing tack and putting herself to good use. And she sees a new fancy girl that she knows from her school come in. This is Lisa, and her mom's pretty much of a shit. She's making up all sorts of stuff about Lisa, saying, oh yeah, she's got all sorts of experience. But fortunately, Max sees right through her bullshit. He's not rude to her. He just kind of gives Lisa a look like, I know what's up. Don't worry about it.
So when the mom was saying that she knew all kinds of writing, she was basically like telling Max that last time she wrote, she won a blue ribbon. And of course, Max looks down at her and says, what kind of writing experience do you have? And she says, well, I rode at the zoo. I rode a horse at the zoo.
Yeah, I appreciate Lisa's no bullshit. Not scared. Not scared of her mom.
And every kid got a blue ribbon for
Right.
riding the pony or whatever it was.
Right. He introduces her to Carol, and Carol knows her because they go to the same school, but Lisa is 13 and in 8th grade, and Carol and Stevie are 12. So her first horse is going to be Patch. Max takes Lisa and Carol and her mom out and gets her up on the horse, and she can walk and stop the horse. But then suddenly a door slams, and it freaks Patch out, and he just starts galloping around the whole arena?
Yeah, I'm guessing it's like the small exercise arena.
Yeah, I just wasn't sure if arena was the right word.
Well, pin's more like it, yeah.
But Lisa, she realizes that, hey, it's got like a 1, 2, 3 beat to it. And she's learned how to waltz. So she kind of waltzes in the saddle with him, and that slows him down, and everyone is highly impressed.
Max says, that must have been some zoo.
He did say that.
I actually had an experience with a horse that did not want riders on it.
Yeah.
Actually, it was not a horse. It was a donkey. A donkey.
That's different, but
Okay, so my cousin is like several years older than me, and he was like driving it. He was driving the donkey, and I was on the back. And my brother happened to be standing behind us.
Did he get kicked?
And I'm pretty sure, I am like 98, 99% positive, he picked up a rock and threw it and hit the donkey in the butt.
That fuck face.
Because the donkey just...
Yeah.
And starts bucking.
Yeah.
And my cousin just jumps off.
Is this Cody?
No, it's an older cousin, yeah.
Okay.
And I'm just sitting on the back as this thing is bucking and don't know what to do. And then I get thrown off and I hit my head on a rock.
Oh, no. Oh, God.
And I had all kinds of drama about it.
Yeah, I bet. That's why you should wear helmets when you're riding.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, here's my history with horses. I have none. I've never ridden a horse.
Really?
Aside from, like at carnivals or something where you go around in
That
a pony.
Counts. Yeah.
A pony that's
Yeah,
like
that
on a
kinda
thing.
counts.
I don't think that counts. You're not really riding.
You've been on a horse.
I've been on a horse, but I've never ridden a horse.
Right. I guess other than the donkey, there was one other time I rode a horse that wasn't at something that went around in circles.
Right.
Yeah.
My experience.
But I loved going to those places that had them that went around in circles.
Yeah, me too.
And I used to collect the horse figurines. What are they? I don't know what they're called. The horse collectibles. They're
Figurines?
well, they weren't really figurines. They were plastic.
I think still a figurine.
Figurines are more ceramic or
Fancy.
fancier.
Okay, then it's just a figure.
Yeah, like an action figure. A horse action figure. That's what I'm going with.
Okay.
So I had probably 10 or 15 horse action figures.
Well, I obviously had a million My Little Ponies in their castle, which was dope as hell. And then Barbie had quite a few horses, but the best was She-Ra's flying. That's the best. Oh, and Rainbow Bright had a flying horse too.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Everybody
those.
had a horse. All the girls.
Okay. I'm a Sagittarius.
You are! Well, I'm a Cancer, so we'll talk about crabs next. So Carol shows Lisa around. They put Patch in his stall, and she meets Stevie, who comes in and talks a bunch about her plan. Lisa thinks she'd be cool, but an exhausting friend, and she does sound exhausting. She recognizes from her neighborhood, though, she lives in like the wealthiest part and goes to a private school. And because she's so energetic, she wonders if it was Stevie who slammed the door. Then they meet Veronica and Cobalt. Veronica, gives her an up and down, judgy ass look, but apparently she passes the test with her fancy looking outfit. And Carol loves her some Cobalt. He's a big old beautiful boy, thoroughbred, and Veronica doesn't take great care of him, and it's infuriating. They go into the tack room to get stuff for Delilah, and she asks Carol asks Stevie to get Patch ready for class. We learn, even though I never rode a horse, I feel like I learned a good amount of stuff about horses and taking care of them and stuff from these books.
Sure.
I have no idea if it's correct, but I thought it was really interesting when she was trying to put, the saddle and everything on Delilah, how she's like, Delilah will breathe in. And while you tighten the girth, and then she breathes out, so it's nice and loose on her. And I'm like, yeah, that sounds real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been around a lot of horses, and they are very charismatic. They have a lot of personality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've known, neighbor horses. I just never got to ride one, but I love talking to them. So then they go out to start class, and there's lots of traditions at Pine Hollow Stadium, so you have to touch a horseshoe before you get on. Then Lisa goes to get up on her horse onto Patch, and there are no stirrups. Because Stevie played a dick-ass prank on her. And it's obviously Stevie, because she's laughing. So in class, Lisa's like, this is fuck wild, because she's got to follow 8 different directions at the same time. To me, that sounded like a ballet class. Keep your shoulders down and your butt in. Stand up straight. Turn out. And
right.
All these things in one little bit. At the end of the class, they have this soda whip tradition where you go buy a bucket, I guess, with whips. And one has a soda cap on it. And you have to go get sodas for everybody else in the class, which I always like that.
I didn't really, because I've never taken horse riding lessons, I've never thought about what it takes to control and ride a horse like that. I guess that was kind of interesting to see, according to different kinds of canters and trots, you're supposed to, instead of just going up and down, you pull your hips forward and things like that. So yeah, it's kind of neat.
Yeah, that's why I thought I learned some, even though I don't.
Right.
So Stevie wants to get out of there real quick so she can start working on her plan and tell Carol all about it. And she already has a job. Cleaning her neighbor's pool. I didn't say any of that before. That Stevie's plan is to do a whole bunch of jobs around the neighborhood and stuff. Like cleaning pools and gutters and all that sort. So Lisa gets the whip and she goes in to get sodas and she sees Stevie's sneakers. So to pay her back, she ties them in 1,000 knots. Stevie is pissed and yells at Lisa. And Lisa tells her mom she doesn't want to ride. She had such a bad experience at her first class. But damn, y'all, Lisa's mom doesn't listen to her at all. She doesn't hear a goddamn thing. She just goes on about how great it is. And Lisa did enjoy the actual writing, but she thinks maybe she can be friends with Veronica, but not Carol and Stevie. So Stevie has to ask her brother to do her job. She has 3 of them, including a twin. And she goes to the shopping center with Carol. And she puts an ad in the grocery store on the bulletin board. Do people still do that?
I have seen at convenience stores.
Convenience stores, yeah.
Little pushpin boards.
Yeah. Grocery stores, not so much now, though.
No.
I remember seeing them back in the day. But.
I mean, maybe if you go to like a mom and pop, but I haven't been to a mom and pop grocery store in forever.
Right. Then they go to a tape store. I mean, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Music store. Well, because Carol wants to look for a tape for her dad. And she flips through them. So I hadn't thought about this in forever, but remember how like tapes, and CDs too, I guess, were like in those holders, the plastic holders that like went all around it, and so you would flip through it like that. I don't know. That was just a really visceral thing that came back to me when I was reading that. Stevie sees a contest to win a trip for Hawaii, so she fills out the form and enters that. Then they go over to their ice cream place and talk about the plan. Stevie needs $50, which in today's money is $104.25, which still doesn't sound too bad for a kid to have to.
For an overnight weekend.
Yeah, for an overnight weekend, that sounds great. And for a kid to earn on their own, I think that sounds pretty good. It's not bad. But Carol doesn't think she can do it. Carol's very realistic, and I appreciate that about her. Lisa's second class goes really well. It's difficult, but not boring, like Veronica says it is. Veronica invites Lisa over after the next class, and Carol hears and thinks she'd never want to spend that much time around with that stuck-up bitch, but it's fine. I mean, she doesn't say that, but it's what she means. Both Veronica and her mom are just fucking awful. Veronica says she wants breeches like Lisa's, and her mom looks at her while driving. She says that she just goes over everything that's wrong with them, with Lisa sitting right there with the 2 dogs crawling all over, which sounds great to me. But so it turns out they are hella rich. Like their house is 3 stories with wings out to the sides, and
yeah, they were described as the richest people in town.
Right. Yeah. Which, I mean, they're just outside of Washington, D.C., it sounds like. So that's probably really fucking rich, right? Yeah. Veronica is super bossy, never asks Lisa what she wants to do. She just tells her what they're going to do next. Lisa decides to go home early, and Veronica's real pissed about it, but I don't blame her. Carol and her dad have a movie night, interrupted by Stevie calling just to tell Carol how hard she worked that day handing out flyers. And tell her how she's had to give a lot of jobs to her brothers. Okay, and it says here there are 2 weeks before the overnight. Keep that in mind. Stevie and Carol's dad get on real well because they tell really bad jokes. But I think they know they're bad jokes, so it's okay. I'll give them a pass on that. So Stevie pretty much spends that whole next weekend just organizing jobs for her brothers, working real hard. But Carol, she gets to do her favoriteest thing. She gets to exercise and groom Cobalt. She's just fucking in love with him, and I love her love for him so much. And yeah, Veronica's not. She's real impatient, kind of mean to him. Even Max realizes this and talks with Carol about that. And I was like, ooh, that's some shade from an adult on like a 12-year-old.
Yeah.
But she mistreats a horse, so you deserve everything you get.
Yeah, it sounds like she just has been brought up to think to see herself as better than everybody and everything, and everything is just a possession for her to have.
Exactly.
And if she doesn't want to, she doesn't really have to work. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that includes taking care of her horse. And she just expects, just like a person, for her horse to obey her.
Right. Yeah. And Cobalt's, he's a thoroughbred. His daddy was a racer, and he's like a big old boy, and he's not gonna put up with that shit from her. He knows, but he loves Carol. He loves her back, and it's delightful. Veronica goes over to Lisa's, and she's a bitch there, too. Like, to Lisa's mom and everything. It's like, damn. But Lisa's finally coming around to realizing that writing is awesome, but it's better with friends. And Veronica, y'all, is not a good friend. Thank you, Lisa. Stevie is just still scheduling jobs for her brothers, and now she's got other girls in her class doing it. Carol asked her just what exactly she put on the flyer to be this busy. She said, I must have cash immediately to put a shelter over my head and food on my plate. Signed, a starving 12-year-old. And she justifies it by saying, yeah, it's got to pay for, like, the tent and food on the overnight. I think saying a starving 12-year-old is going a little far.
Yeah, I'd be like, well, hey, where's your parents?
Yeah, it doesn't sound like anybody's, like, concerned. I mean, concerned enough to hire her, I guess.
My oldest brother got his first job at the age of 13.
Wow.
Yes, that was.
Was that the 70s or early 80s?
No, that would have been sometime early 80s, yeah.
Okay. Were there no laws then?
There was less accountability.
Okay, that's a good word. Yeah.
Yeah.
What did he do?
It was at a restaurant. He cleaned the floors basically. He was in bus tables. And yeah, my dad told him he wasn't paying. He was 13 years old. He was old enough to buy his own clothes.
Oh my God! Ouch! Wow! Yikes! But I mean, a restaurant's like a legit thing. You gotta now you have to have like.
Well, I'm sure there's like
paperwork.
Right? Yeah. But I think you could probably still work at a restaurant as long as you're not working with the food without having all the paperwork and accountability.
I don't think so.
But I think he just got paid like cash under the table.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Shady East Texas stuff. Okay.
Yeah, my dad knows this guy. And,
okay,
yeah.
That makes sense. All right, gotcha. So before another class, Lisa's getting a different horse that she's been riding lately, Pepper. She's getting him all ready. But she can hear Veronica being rough and impatient with Cobalt in the stall next door. Carol comes and offers to help, but she's point blank with Veronica. And Veronica's really rude back. Carol says she knows that Veronica's the one who slammed the door on Lisa's first day and knows she's just adding Lisa to her collection of friends. And Veronica's like, we don't have anything in common anyway. Lisa's not even a great writer.
It wasn't collection of friends. It was collection of admirers.
Admirers. Yeah. Okay, right. Very good. So yeah, that's all shit. And Lisa hears it all. So Carol finds her crying and tells her how, Veronica's a rotten person. Lisa wants to know why Carol didn't say anything about the door slam and tells her how she thought it was probably Stevie. Carol assures her Stevie would never do that, and explains how if, she said anything about Veronica, she would never get to groom Cobalt and exercise him, and so Veronica's got that over her head all the time, and that sucks. But Carol asked her for ice cream after class, and that's lovely. Stevie's late for class, and then she gets called to the phone during class, and Max is like hella mad about it, and I don't blame him. Max sounds like a really dope dude. He's like really cool when they're not in class, but he's got his rules and he expects you to follow them, and yeah,
something you didn't talk about with Carol earlier was when she was taking care of Cobalt on that weekend. She was Max was out exercising another horse and taking him through some drills, like for dressage, doing all of the special cantering and steps and things like that. And he was having Carol do that with Cobalt.
Yeah. And
the way it was described in the book, it was like they were both, doing just as good as Max and the other horse. And so you could tell there was like a special bond between those two, but it's like a horse that she would never be able to afford. And I felt bad for both of them, because Cobalt doesn't have the owner he deserves.
Yeah.
And
they're very in sync, it sounds like. Yeah. And yeah, Max points that out, and he's like, I think that's what I meant earlier when Max
when he
was
was
talking
throwing
about,
shade,
throwing shade at Veronica. And, but he was giving Carol her props. So when they go for ice cream, Carol drops all sorts of horse knowledge on Lisa. And that whole thing was just really interesting to me. They talk about the horses, about how they each have their own personalities. And Carol goes over some of the ones that the stable. Did you catch the typo in chapter 10?
Maybe, and just didn't even think about it. Skipped over. So
it says Lisa says something when it's clearly Stevie's line.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't know. I just found that fun. It's in chapter 10.
Yeah, there was a little section in there where it was like they were talking back and forth, and I was like,
Who's talking?
"Did she say that?"
Yeah. Carol talks about how she's real worried about Stevie. How she doesn't think she could do it pretty much. And like this whole plan just doesn't sound good to her. But Lisa tries to explain how she's taking commission from everybody else doing jobs for her. And Lisa seems like, because she understands it, that it sounds like a good idea. Carol still doesn't sound like she's in on it, but it's fine. So after ice cream, Carol's waiting for her bus, and she sees in the window of the music store that Stevie won third prize, a cassette player. No Hawaii, but so she finally gets a hold of Stevie and it's like, I'll be right down. And Stevie knows she'll have to ID herself. She does so with the library card. And that started me thinking, aren't most of those contests, even then you have to be 18?
Yes. Okay, so when they were talking about that, I was wondering if she was going to get there and they were going to say she couldn't have it because she wasn't 18.
Yeah. I mean, because that's how usually... I mean, if she had won a trip to Hawaii, come on.
Okay, so, you're right. So it probably has something to do with, like, because they have to give the Social Security number to the IRS saying that this was a business loss because they gave away something. That's probably why it has to be over 18. And maybe it was just, this is a local thing, so we don't care about those rules.
Mm-hmm. And the cassette player wouldn't be a huge loss.
Right.
Especially because, guess what? Stevie doesn't have any tapes. She only has a record player and all her music's on records. So she's like, hey, guess what? She's earned $65 by this point, which, great job.
Now, this was in 88.
I know, this bothered you.
So tapes have been around for a while by then.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah, so...
I mean, I had tapes. I was 6.
Yeah. I mean, I
What's
probably
up,
started...
New Kids on the Block. Sorry.
I guess I probably started buying tapes around 83 or 84. And here's another thing, is you don't have to have tapes. You can just buy blank cassette tapes.
Right.
And tape stuff on the radio like we used to.
Yeah, I absolutely did that.
Yeah. We'd wait for the they'd have shows where they'd have like the top 20
10.
Stuff like that. So you'd wait for those and then, you'd have a favorite song that was playing and you just sit there all night waiting for that song to come on.
And then the DJ would talk over it.
Fucking DJ would talk over it.
I think they knew, right?
Yeah,
that they were fucking kids up. Yeah. Yeah, I taped stuff off the radio well into the late 90s. I mean, I got my first CD player when I was 12. Yeah. Which was 94. So, yeah, I just had tapes until then. But that had, tape player on it, too. So,
yeah, I probably started buying CDs around the time of this book, probably. Yeah.
What was your first CD? Do you remember?
No, I don't remember.
Mine was the Boyz II Men 2 CD.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it was so good.
Mine was probably something like Depeche Mode.
Probably.
Two Live Crew. It probably wasn't at first.
So anyways, she's got this $15 extra, so she goes to look at tapes, flipping through them. then, okay, that was back in what chapter? I said the Mountain Overnight was 2 weeks away. That was in chapter 6. We're in chapter 12 now, and it tells us the MTO's 2 weeks away. But Carol brings Lisa with her over to Stevie's to try and get her to be friendlier. I mean, they're okay, but, it could be better. So they go over to listen to all 8 tapes she bought that she spent all her money on, that she doesn't realize until Carol asks.
Yeah, so they're figuring it up, and they figure out that it's like $6 per tape. No.
Yeah, no.
Tapes were like $15.
Right. That's what I
and,
thought.
I know they have like bargain tapes.
They had bargain tapes. They also had singles.
That's true.
Do you remember those?
Yeah.
Yeah. I specifically remember Queen Latifah, UNITY. I had a single of that.
But I know she was saying that she expertly fast-forwarded it to the song she was looking for. So I know at least one wasn't a single.
Yeah. You're right. And I love how it's like expert. I mean, I probably couldn't do it now, but yeah. You did know how much time. Yeah. So Stevie loses her shit once she finds out she only has $4 left. And she throws her notebook and these scraps of papers that she's been keeping track of stuff, all the jobs and everything on. She just throws them everywhere in her room. She's a bit of a drama queen.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Yeah. Lisa.
But again, it sounds like her parents are wealthy as well.
Her parents are wealthy as well.
Although she's a little more grounded.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't really think that's a parenting thing. I just think that's who she is as a person. But Lisa picks up the notebook and she's like, holy shit, you already have a math project right here. Aside from all the paper scraps all over the place, because that's like the last week's worth. And my favorite bit is Lisa tells her she can even use a calculator. That just tickled me a lot. So they start working this. It was all about decimals and percentages. And so all this commission and money and everything. It does sound like a great math project. But that bothered you, didn't it?
Which part?
That she had like 3 weeks to do a math project.
Who's ever had 3 weeks to do a math project? I've never, ever heard of a 3-week math project. I mean, writing a book report, doing, something along those lines.
Yeah.
But
a science project.
No, we did like, you do like a step a day in math.
Right.
You do the homework.
You've got those problems.
Back. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then you might build on that for the rest of the week. And then you have your chapter test or whatever. And then you move on to the next concept. I've never heard of a math project.
Actual project. I hadn't either. But I like the sound of it. I probably would have been a lot more into math had I been able to do a project. Not as scared of it. And, just like the numbers and stuff. I mean, because that's all it is. Except I remember one sub in 7th grade, she was giving integers like personalities and stuff, but we thought that was really weird. She was a weird lady.
I gotcha.
Now I appreciate it.
I was always really good at math, and there was one time in my life, I guess it was when I was moving a lot, where the school I was at, on one of them was behind, and then I go to a school that's ahead, and then I'm I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
Yeah. So everyone's worried that Max won't let Stevie go anyway, because she's been, late and leaving class and all that.
Late, not paying attention, talking during class.
And they're also worried that Lisa's mom won't let her go, because she's not so big on the whole writing thing now that she's not friends. Well, she saw how rude Veronica was herself.
Yeah, so Veronica went over to her house at one point, and her mom saw... Yeah, that she was a bitch.
Yeah.
And I have to give it to the author. She did a pretty good job at making a rated G bitch.
Yeah, you definitely got what was going on. Yeah, so they're all worried about neither of them being able to go, and all three of them, well, four, Max, Stevie, Lisa, and her mom, have this super secret meeting one day after class. But it turns out Lisa gets to go as long as Stevie is going to be her partner. And they all say Yahoo.
Several times.
Several times.
But see, it makes me wonder if maybe Max actually called out Stevie because Stevie seems to be wealthy also. And maybe her having a friend that was wealthy and not a bitch was going to influence Lisa's
That's a good
mom.
point. Yeah.
Because that seems to be her purpose of...
Yeah, because she says something about, she thought that's what well-bred ladies do, is take writing classes. And so that's why she signed her up and everything. And yeah, we don't really get how she feels about Stevie, but that's a good point. But hey, little Miss Bitch herself tells us she gets to have private jumping lessons. Just for later. They're all over back at Stevie's one day, trying to get this project done. And guess what? Madonna finds the missing data. Madonna is Stevie's cat. And Carol helps her find it, really. But they get that all plugged in. And guess what? Stevie gets an A+ on her project, bringing her grades up to B.
A B+.
Yeah.
The best she's had since some other really low grade. Second grade or something like that.
And there's more Yahoos from everyone. Yay. Yahoo! Carol gets very, very sappy there in the end, and they call her out on it.
And I hate to inform everyone, this is a spoiler alert, but they all died when they went on the overnight.
Boy, we will get to further Santa Club books, and you will see what happens.
They were eaten by coyotes.
How did you know? Anyway, Carol says friends are awesome. It'll be a shame when we all die on the mountain overnight. They decide to form the Saddle Club. And the main rule, basically, of the club is you have to be crazy. Horse crazy. Da! Yahoo!
Yo!
I mean, it's just it's very 80s. It's very typical of what a lot of girls, at least, were reading then. But it's I really loved it, and I really did feel like I was learning how to take care of horses, and I could understand the concepts of riding if I hadn't done it.
Did you ask your parents for a horse after reading this?
No, I wasn't that stupid. I mean, I know there's no way we would ever be able to afford a horse or riding lessons.
Yeah,
especially...
I guess that was me as well. I wanted a horse real bad, and I used to look in, what'd they call it, the penny something?
Penny saver?
The penny saver.
Yeah.
At people selling horses and things. But yeah.
Oh, and they have that horse auction outside of...
Yeah, an Elkhart
too, even.
Yeah, and you can actually get a horse really cheap there. Yeah, I mean, you can buy a horse for like $100.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
but upkeep's a bit more than.
Yeah,
yeah,
and having
and
the
land,
room
yeah,
and it is something that is time intensive. Now, I mean, as in my later years, I wanted a motorcycle, obviously, because it didn't need quite the upkeep.
Not quite.
But it still costs as much. So,
yeah. And you don't get the love.
Oh, I got the love for my motorcycles.
Gross. That sounded... Jesus. Okay.
There was something spiritual about a back road ride.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, I will tell you what I did do, though.
What'd you do?
Last time we talked about bikes. And how I rode through trails in the state forest behind us in Connecticut and stuff. I absolutely pretended I was riding a horse.
Nice.
especially after reading these books. And especially because I read a lot of historical fiction up there. And I mean, it's very easy out in the woods to like, it's like, this is what it was like. These are the places, you know, that people were and stuff in the 1700s or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
And so I would pretend like, I don't know, I was some Puritan girl on her horse in the woods doing I don't know what. But yeah, that's how I spent a lot of my time.
Nice. We had trails in the woods behind a friend's house, and we always played Star Wars, and you know we'd play.
Okay, were there Ewoks? Because when I think forest, Star Wars.
And we pretended our bicycles were the speeders. Yeah.
Yep. That makes sense. But yeah, so I felt like I learned a lot how to pretend on my bike. I was waltzing or cantering.
Nice.
Yeah. All right, so that's all I got for this book. It's a lot of fond memories and a lot of good stuff. And yeah, what is the difference for you between this and the Babysitter's Club book? Why is Babysitter's Club 10 on the soul sucking?
There was more realistic, I guess, teenage drama. And I guess the theme of riding horses versus bonding over taking care of kids.
Okay,
is a lot more enticing. And, you know, you were learning some stuff about riding.
Right.
And, yeah. And the author's writing style even was just better.
It's a bit of a level up.
Yeah.
All right. I still don't think we're on iTunes as of this point, but we're in all other places. Hopefully you can get podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher. Email us at fightingoverthecardcatalog@gmail.com. Find us on Facebook and Instagram at Fighting Over the Card Catalog. And on Twitter at Catalog Pod.
Card Catalog Pod.
Card Catalog Pod. Or visit our website at fightingoverthecardcatalog.com. Well, since you enjoyed this one pretty well, and where would you put, then again, maybe I won't, on this scale?
I would say 2.
Okay. All right.
Are we talking again now or
Give me both.
when I read? I'd say now probably 3, 4.
Okay, still pretty damn good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we should ratchet it back up to a 10 and do the second Babysitter's Club book next week. Yeah, but guess what? There's like mystery and shit to it. It's more of a plot because it's Claudia and the Phantom Phone Caller.
All right.
You love me, right?
Most of the time.
All right, so see everybody back here next time for Claudia and the Phantom Phone Calls. We're rereading the books of your childhood.
So you don't have to.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.